Gordon McDowell, you are up next.
Elizabeth knows who I am, but I will introduce myself to everyone. I'm Gord, the guy who put forward the proposal that the Green Party of Canada cease our blanket opposition to nuclear power. Some member-driven policy proposals were voted back in September of 2024, 1 year ago. Those were proposals put forward the same time as my stop blanket opposition to nuclear power proposal. Elizabeth, at a 2024 federal council meeting, you insisted that cease blanket opposition not be voted on online, and it can only happen at an AGM. The public-facing rules were then changed so that dissenting opinions could ensure such a delay. That rule wasn't always visible. It appeared shortly before the dissenting opinions appeared on my policy proposal. This delay meant we experienced an election where no Green candidates could support nuclear power and is about to limit the scope of leadership candidates. If you remain in leadership, are you going to insist that this is not resolved until you've left that role?
Be correct that I've never weighed in to change rules to stop a debate on any issue. The rules have to be respected and members have to be involved. It is a member-driven policy of longstanding and one that's been revisited before, and members continue to say that the Green Party of Canada, like Green parties around the world, does not think nuclear power is a viable or useful alternative to bring down greenhouse gas emissions. There's a longer explanation there, but in terms of process, the reason we didn't have an online vote was we hadn't had the consensus-driven, member-driven process that's required before a change in our policy. I'm not going to insist on anything. I've never been able to insist on anything, and I don't plan to start as I'm going out the door as the leader who has already announced I'm retiring as leader, but continuing as a member of parliament. I hate to use retiring as a word. People panic in my riding and think I'm not going to be their member of parliament. So yeah, no, absolutely. Gordon, I'm sorry you got that impression, but it was never the case. Thank you.
All right, Gordon McDowell, your time has come.
Hey, thank you so much for a chance for a follow-up. Okay, so Elizabeth, in 2024, you said in the Federal Council meeting, I just want to make sure we're not pursuing online voting on something like the nuclear resolution. And there was a lot of policy proposals being put forward, and that's the only one you mentioned. After the dissenting opinions came in, I looked at the rules and I was like, oh yeah, dissenting opinions. And then I went back into the Wayback Machine and I looked before the Federal Council meeting and the rules were different. So I know there's a lot of room for misunderstanding on my part, but can you share your thoughts on this?
Yeah, that was in the context too that we'd had misreporting in the media that we'd changed our rules, and I was very concerned that we changed our policy on nuclear based on some preliminary discussions around the wording of an amendment carrying led to media reports that we'd already changed our position. And I'm very concerned. I do recall that I didn't change the rules. We didn't have rules that allowed online voting before we'd had workshopping, work on an issue, engaging members, and we hadn't had that yet. So it does need to have the full engagement of members on any, particularly where an existing policy is being proposed to be rejected. That does take time, and it does mean that people be fully engaged before putting it to an up-down vote. The way we make decisions in this party is green rules, seeking consensus, not top-down, up-down binary choices.
But that seems really arbitrary compared to so many other policy proposals, right?
It's not arbitrary. It's the way we make decisions is green rules. Sorry, I'm going to stop there because that's my 1 minute.
Elizabeth's not involved in any kind of that stuff. So
I know, but she did personally mention nuclear policy proposal, and that's why I had to ask a follow-up, okay?
All good.
Okay, sorry. And I see Paul's hand and I don't know, Paul, is this relevant to what we're just discussing?
Relevant to the leadership
yeah.
town hall. How about that? It's
all right,
very good.
I'll take it. Thanks, Gordon, for your work and your continued support of the party. And it's always wonderful for us to be agreeably disagreeable.
Elizabeth, you asked for a motion to eliminate PDPC. There hasn't been discussion about it before today.
I just want to make sure we're not pursuing online voting on something like the nuclear resolution. If that's accepted, then I'm happy to have this take the time it takes to have a proper discussion. as long as I have your word on this, that there's no motion that relates to the nuclear policy of this party changing without it coming before a full general meeting of all the members. So we respect our grassroots democratic principles.
I don't feel I have the authority to suddenly bar sending something to a vote.